Hey, what's up? An alleged mastermind here. This is the 46th day of my commitment. I talk to the camera every day, practicing my language, learning how to speak English, and doing just brain gymnastics. Now I think I figured out something that I couldn't understand before. Or at least I could understand it, but there are certain problems which didn't allow me to speak, let's say, truth. I tried to be real from the very beginning of this commitment. I set goals to be authentic, to speak naturally, not to play some kind of character. And eventually I fell into this trap of presenting myself as a special character, and I don't like it. And now I see a new path for the development of this exercise. Even though I'm going to continue to talk about the English speaking community of Kaluga, which is one of the theme I want to develop. It's the idea, and I'm thinking about this idea a lot last week, and I want to develop this idea just by thinking about it. But on average, I'd like to focus more on authenticity. I'd like to focus more on being real and not pretending that I'm talking to somebody else. So there's no people, there's nobody who actually listens to me. It's just a camera, it's just YouTube, and mostly it's unreal. So I don't believe that this conversation is a conversation with somebody else. Just me talking to myself, trying to figure out what's going on in my life, learning language, learning to express my thoughts more clearly, but not clearly so that other people can understand me, but clearly so that I myself can understand better what I'm thinking, how I'm thinking that. This desire to get approval and to be understood by others, I think in most cases it's a weak desire, and it makes me weaker than I actually can be. I remember the times when I started recording videos when I was speaking Russian. It was 2013, and first year I was doing it for since I started doing that in February of 2013, I was doing it almost uninterruptedly for half a year, and I learned how to speak well, I learned how to express my thoughts, I got rid of most fillers which I used in my Russian language. I found many appropriate ways for self-expression, and it made me a little bit crazy, but when I was talking to myself, I didn't publish videos on YouTube, and I didn't show it anybody, and I didn't even talk to anybody about this exercise. But when I became a master in speaking, when I did it well, and when I felt as if I was like one of the best speakers in the world, I decided that this is an amazing exercise. I'm going to teach other people do the same. So I just gonna stand up here and talk about this exercise and do self-talk and publish it, and everybody's gonna see it and they'll say, wow, that's so great. They'll see my videos which I recorded 5 years ago, they'll compare them with what I have now, and they all go and record themselves and do the same exercise and become probably a little bit more interest in people. Yeah, nothing works. And what happened actually, I didn't grow up in terms of my language. I became more obsessed with my grammar, with my pronunciation, with my ability of self-expression, and I became more resentful. And it wasn't the case when I was studying to speak to myself when I used Russian language. At that time, even though I couldn't express my thoughts clearly, I still was thinking, wow, that's great, I just trained my capacity, my ability to be like real, to speak at any moment and to be able to convert all my thoughts and ideas into persuasive language. And I didn't feel this annoyance, anxiety. And now it's almost the same case. So I'm trying to be not myself, but I'm trying to teach somebody else to speak. I'm trying to present myself as if I were a teacher, as if I were doing something that is important for other people. And just by watching me, you may understand what to do, and you'll start practicing the same thing, and eventually it's going to help you, and we may have conversations, and we may have, we may share our knowledge, and we may grow together, we may create a community of people who will be passionate about learning and go and build something real. Now, today I was thinking from the very beginning of the day. I didn't do exercises, and the first 30 minutes after I woke up, after I did my morning routine, washed my face, brushed my teeth, I wrote my journal. And in my journal I started asking questions like, why am I actually building the community? What's the purpose? Like, do I really want to gather all people and who can speak English and create a space for them? Do I want to make a kind of business project? Do I want to prove myself that I am decent individual who may actually do something? Do I want to prove it to somebody else? I asked many questions, and I realized, well, first of all, I realized that one of the desires which makes me talking about this community, and which makes me actually curious and engaged, and which motivates me to do that, is the desire to renew my faith in people. And this is crucial, actually. It's very deep. So when I was a child, I had lots of problems with people, and when I grew up, when I was 20 years old, I actually had serious problems. So when I was a child, I had some problems. I was rejected as a kid, so people didn't like me, and teachers didn't like me, and nobody liked me. But later, there was not just rejection, there was a strong punishment. And after that, I started falling down to this whole, like, I started reading philosophy, I started reading literature a lot, and writing. And most of the books which I read, by the way, they were philosophical books. Schopenhauer, Hegel, Kant, Nietzsche, Aristotle, lots of classic literature, our Russian literature, Dostoevsky, Tolstoy, Turgenev, Pushkin, Lermontov. Lots of the books, I was just picking up the thoughts and ideas that all people, so the crowd, I don't know so many expressions in English, but in Russian I may give you like dozens maybe hundreds of expressions where like the community, the people is considered as something really negative. So if you want to become somebody, if you want to develop your personality, if you want to grow, if you want to understand something what's going on in the world, you have to go inside. So there's no way to create, to make friends and participate in a community and grow. So with the community, you are doomed to decline. And if you go into this literature, into yourself, into books, if you focus on studying yourself and studying great writers, thinkers, maybe some people who, not just who didn't write, but in writing you may find lots of autobiographies of great people like Alexander the Great, Napoleon, whoever, Caesar, and Shakespeare. A lot of examples of great people. Plutarch. I'm not sure whether I can pronounce the name in English correctly, but yeah, in ancient world like Sophocles, Euripides, Aeschylus. There are lots of descriptions of great characters, and when you study literature, you actually study what's great and what's not great. And I was most of the time focused on this belief. So when I was reading, if I found a fascinating expression, damn, my English is so poor. I have just 3 minutes. When I could find a great expression where some misanthropy, when some misanthrope was sharing his experience and with people and were cursing people and blaming them and slandering, that's great, that's how I actually see the world. So I'm the genius, and I'm writing, I'm speaking, I'm learning stuff, I'm reading great books, and all people around, they're just money makers. They're nobody. They don't understand anything. They're slaves. They're stupid idiots. And the more I confirmed this belief, the greater I felt. And eventually, like before I shifted to English, you may read I'll I'll put a link here, so you may read my work, which I wrote before I shifted to English. The work was called An Hour Thinking. And this hour thinking, I was thinking for an hour and wrote my thoughts on paper in Russian. And I wrote about philosophy, science, myself. Yeah, and I had this feeling of contempt to all people, to no matter who they were, to all, but not to myself. When I started studying English, I wanted to shift this view. So I wanted to believe that people are actually good people. And I tried to oppose my Russian view, which I had before. And again, in my experience in Russian, it's a terrible experience. All my relationships with people were terrible. There was no any meaningful relationship. And when I started renewing my faith in people, when I started studying language, the first few years it was the same. Like first, till I actually developed this club, it was almost the same relationship. So people couldn't understand what I was saying, and they couldn't really see what I was doing and why, even though I was telling them all the time. But later it get better. So since I was able to develop this speaking club, I started thinking a little bit different about people in general. I started thinking about people are actually not so bad. I may have some relationships with them, but now it seems that with this community, it's actually my attempt to realize whether or not it works. I mean, I want to see. Now, I have a strong intention to build the community. I want to gather up people who are like me, who study languages. Not necessarily all people should be like me, who study language for or philosophy or themselves, like all the time, non-stop. But maybe there are going to be some people like me who really are passionate about language, who think that lifelong learning is something outstanding, and who actually do stuff, not just think or read books or watch videos, who actually do stuff, who write, who speak, who produce something meaningful. Okay, now, I don't have enough time. Man, I memorized 3 definitions and I wanted to repeat them, but unfortunately I don't have time to repeat them today. Probably tomorrow I'll start the video from recalling the definitions. I still memorizing 5 definitions a day, a week, 1 definition a day. I think it's an amazing exercise. But from now on I'm gonna focus more on authenticity and being myself, not just telling you something and teaching you, just sharing my experience, real experience, and asking myself, what am I doing? Why am I doing that? How to do it better? In terms of the community, here's just one question: how to build a community? How to build an amazing community? How to build a great community? How to build a creative community? And I'm going to ask this question every time, and probably all my articles in the English-speaking community of Kaluga, which I'm going to write from now. I'm going to start them from this question and try to figure out what actually can be done. And this is the way how I want to achieve my goals. Okay, now it's all. See you next time. Bye bye.